Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. We're here today with special guest, Theresa Cheung, who's here to share with us her new book, Walk Your Talk, your 4-week program to take action now and change your life. So what if the key to lasting transformation isn't in what you think or feel, but the small, consistent acts you take each day? Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. Theresa Cheung was born into a family of psychics and spiritualists. She has written numerous best-selling Mind, Body, Spirit books, including 2 Sunday Times Top 10 bestsellers. Her books have been translated into over 30 languages, and her Element encyclopedias of dreams and birthdays have become international bestsellers. She has written numerous features for magazines and national and international newspapers and is a go-to dreams and spiritual expert for ITV, This Morning, and BBC Radio. So welcome to the show, Theresa Cheung.
Hello, Marianne. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you.
Well, what an honor it is to talk with you, and especially to dive into your new book. What inspired you to write this?
Well, I've been writing books in this area for decades. And I noticed in the self-help, personal and spiritual growth movement that a lot of people, they get stuck on what's in their head, in dreaming and doing vision boards, this massive manifesting trend which keeps reinventing itself in different ways. And I wanted to hear from people who tried all this and it wasn't working, because I felt that there was a book needed to be written for people who were doing all the right things. They were positive thinking. They were raising their vibration. They were looking in the mirror and saying, I am worthy. I am enough. I believe. I deserve. And yet it still didn't feel like life was working out. And I wanted to investigate why this was happening. So I conducted a series of interviews. I looked at my own life when things have gone according to plan with my career or my personal life. And I came up with, what I believe is the answer to why sometimes manifesting and positive thinking does not pan out as you intended. And that's what I collated together in Walk Your Talk in a series of power moves.
And so why did you develop this 4-week action plan focused on power moves, specifically that?
Because I wanted a kind of like a pre-manifesting essential, or my publishers are promoting it more as anti-manifesting. It's not quite that. It is for people who have tried all the positive thinking and those techniques, but they don't still feel a shift in their life. They don't feel positive change. So it's for people who have tried other methods and want something radically different. There isn't an affirmation in sight in this book, you'll be pleased to hear. It is very, very action and power orientated about things that you do. It's really about showing, not telling the world and other people and yourself who you are, not thinking it, dreaming it, hoping it, visualizing it.
How empowering is that? And I understand that you also have 22 actions that would make people just feel the greatest impact.
Yeah, these are actions. They're physical things that you can do when you don't feel like it. We all wake up in different ways sometimes. So I start in the morning, like when you're feeling a bit grotty or you just don't feel like aligned. We hear a lot in personal and spiritual growth about abundance and aligned and raising your vibrations. And sometimes, however you try, you don't feel great. So what I have offer then is some things that you can physically do that can help you get on with your day and feel better and actually attract the success that you deserve. It's actions that you can do when you don't feel your best and how you can snap out of it. That's what I wanted. I wanted something really radically different to the many, many, many manifesting books that are out there. Something for people who, as I said, have had enough of dreaming, hoping, praying, doing their yoga poses, and they're still not feeling that their life is shifting in a positive direction. And I wanted things that people could do that took a few moments, were very simple, but which have been proven through studies and research to actually raise your mood and make you feel better able to tackle the day ahead.
What's one tip our listeners can use to really empower themselves first thing in the morning when you, like you're saying, I mean, wake up and we're not feeling aligned or 100% or even at our best?
Well, I'm going to give one that people may raise their eyebrows. I mean, there are many other ones that, there's a progression as it goes through, but I think number 3 or 4 is in the morning, if you can, if you have the space, skip. Just do a skip, but not rope skipping, just the skipping you used to do when a child. You will notice how it impacts your mood. It really does, because the body impacts the mind just as much as the mind impacts the body. And that simple action of just skipping like you did with a child, it's incredible. It's impossible to feel low when you skip. Try it. Everyone listening, when you get a chance, skip. When you're a child in the playground, see how it feels. You will notice that you can't feel low when you do it in that brief moment. And it will send a message to your brain that you're going to be a bit more upbeat today, that you're feeling action orientated, you're connecting to your inner child, your creativity. It will give you that brief lift that you sometimes need to just snap out of it and get on with your day.
So, what does it mean to you personally to walk your talk?
For me, it means show, don't tell. I think we live in a world today where word salad and people talking a lot and over explaining and oversharing on social media, and having opinions. There's a place for all of that, but I think it's tilted too far the other way. And I think what's happened is a lot of people are great at the talk, but then they forget the walk part. There's no point having an opinion, a stance, or belief if your actions don't line up with it. And I think that's the biggest reason a lot of people who have good intentions and do their visualizations and their vision boards and their affirmations don't actually attract the success that they deserve, because they forget the vital second part of the equation, which is action. You've got to walk your talk, the daily and consistent, small, mundane things that you do every day, which show yourself, others, and the universe that you do matter and that you do take care of yourself, that you are a person of integrity, that you have values. That is the most important part of manifesting. And I think, having, as I said, been writing books in this area for too long, I think we've all got lost in the theory and we've forgotten the practice of it.
That saying that you can sit there and say manifestation words and what have you, but if you
Yeah.
don't get up and do the action, nothing ever happens.
No, it doesn't. It's common sense. But a lot of, self-help books are really repackaged common sense. They're age-old wisdom, show, don't tell. This book is all about show, don't tell, but it's how to show yourself, others, in the world that you want a successful and happy life when you don't feel great, when you don't feel inside that your vibration is aligned with the abundance of the universe, and all this jargon that honestly that I have heard so many times. And it has a point. Mindset matters. If you don't believe in yourself, it's very hard to attract success your way, because your unconscious world attracts what happens in your life. But there's no point working on all this inner world if your actions don't line up with it. Your actions are just as important, if not more so. In fact, I think they're much more so, because I'm going to quote that amazing Marcus Aurelius, what we do now in life echoes in all eternity. It's not what we think, it's not what we feel, it's not what we write, it's not what we opine, it's not what we hope, it's not what we dream, it's what we do. It's your actions that echo in all eternity. It is your actions that impact others and the world. It is your actions that you will be remembered by. However much you've worked on your inner being, that's good as well. As I said, it's the 50%, it's half. But please don't forget the other half, the actions. So this book is me really clamping down on the power of actions, positive daily actions, which are so easy to do. They're very, very simple things, from like waking naturally in the morning. That's very important, because if you are dependent on an alarm clock, as many of us are, the first thing that you're showing the universe is that you are dependent on something external to get you going. You need to get in the driver's seat of your life first thing and start training yourself to wake naturally. And it's very, very doable. It takes a bit of discipline and it's a bit of a challenge, but nothing worth achieving doesn't involve a challenge. But when you do it, you immediately wake up feeling more empowered because you've set the tone already. Simple things like not reaching for your phone first thing. Again, you're giving away all your energy to external sources. And what you need to do is underline to yourself first thing in that sacred early morning time that you are in the driver's seat. You set the course for your life. And we go on through the day, as I think there are about 8 or 9 moves for the morning, very simple things, again, that have studies behind them. I do love working with scientists and psychologists in all my books to back up what I say. I'm not just plucking this out of thin air. These are based on studies which show that if people do these things, and the emphasis on do, for at least 2 to 3 weeks every day, they will feel better able to handle their lives, and they will feel better about themselves.
So, is it important for us to understand our why before starting a change process?
Yes, it is. And that's why with each power move, and I encourage readers and listeners not to skip over that, I explain the why, because otherwise it's mindless. You don't understand why you're being asked to do the specific power move, and it's an action that I ask you to do, because you do need to understand the reasoning by it. Why is so important, because if you don't have a why, you lose momentum, motivation, and meaning. And we all seeking meaning in our lives. And when you understand the why, even if you don't feel like it, it will give you that kickstart you need. I'm going to do this because XYZ.
What role does self trust play in creating lasting change?
Well, self-trust is the journey of a lifetime. And just when we think we've got it, it's a very elusive. Sometimes it can go again, because we're all, we all get our self-belief often from what other people say and what's going on in the world around us. And people think self-trust is something you just get and you own. It's not like that, because life can throw curveballs. And the book talks about this, that you can feel great about yourself and have filled with self-trust. And then something happens, you get a criticism or a life crisis or a bereavement or a loss, and suddenly it all goes. It is something that you constantly need to be working on, along with self-understanding and self-love. And then if you work on those two as well, self-trust and self-belief tends to flower from those two. But the book talks about self-understanding, understanding your motivations, and then self-care as well. That's the next step. I think of it as a 3-step process. And then you get self-trust, but not to beat yourself up when that self-trust goes. It's human. We're all fallible. And it's good that we're fallible, because if we weren't fallible, we wouldn't learn and grow. We learn the most when we mess up. That's why one of the power moves is actually to put yourself on the line each day and get rejected, and learn from it in some way. Because as long as you're learning about yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, you're growing wiser. And that is the meaning of our life. The meaning of our life isn't a destination and to check all these boxes. The meaning of our life is constant learning and growing and evolution. And that's why rejection sometimes is the very best thing that can happen to us. It doesn't feel like it at the time. It sucks. It sucks. But actually, it is our call to grow some more. When you get rejected or things don't work out, it's like life's saying, hey, you've got to grow some more. You've got to get wiser. You've got to learn this skill. You've got to try that approach. Become bigger, become more than you currently are. So I want people to kind of fall in love with the no word. We've heard a lot about the power of yes. There's a lot of power in no, because it can help you grow. And when you are learning and growing, you are living a life of deep meaning. And that is the purpose of our lives. It's to learn and grow. And if you've got everything right, if everything just happened magically and success, happiness, popularity, you got everything you want, you wouldn't grow, you wouldn't learn. That's a very superficial, empty life. And that's often why we see with people who appear to have it all. And then we hear sometimes that they're desperately unhappy. I understand why they are. It's because they haven't had the challenge that we need. So what I want people to do is to kind of fall in love with the challenge, the journey. I always compare it to some novels and movies that we love. We don't fall in love with the ending often. We're on the edge of our seats as the characters go through all these challenges. That's what keeps us gripped. And it's exactly the same with our lives. A rewarding and fulfilling and a rich life is one filled with challenge, filled with course correction, filled with rejection, where we course corrected to something better for ourselves, filled with learning, and above all, filled with no regrets.
What is one of the common obstacles people face when making these changes?
Oh, laziness. It takes effort. It's much easier to sit and moan, isn't it? We think we're doing something when we worry, when we're anxious, when we complain. That's easy. That's why there are a lot of keyboard warriors out there complaining and complaining all the time. It's easy to be like that. It's much harder to be someone who stands up and says, enough, I'm going to take action now. I'm going to be like the tortoise rather than the hare in that famous parable. And I'm going to take slow, steady, and positive, disciplined steps each day of my life to improve my life. And I know most of us know what we need to do to feel healthier and happier. We know it, but we get lazy. And I hope this book is an antidote to that, because it starts slowly. It does small things which give you a lift, and then you can, which aren't too difficult to do. And then you can go and do another thing, and there's the momentum builds. And then after a while, you think, I'm not going to go back to that way, because that way, as I was before, procrastinating, complaining, talking all the time, wasn't actually making me happy. And the small things I'm doing each day are making me feel more fulfilled. That's what my dream is for this book, that by the end of it, when people have applied the simple power moves to their lives, that they won't want to ever go back to how they were before.
In what ways would you say that this book and this program benefits people in their professional lives?
In their professional lives, it's exactly the same. It's the small, consistent, steady steps that you need to take each day. It's showing, not telling yourself, your colleagues, your boss what you can do. It's just showing up, isn't it? And again, showing through your movement and your actions who you are, and not telling other people who you are all the time. I think in the professional world, there's a lot of talk, a lot of meetings. I'm sure we've all been there. We've been to these meetings, and sometimes meetings about other meetings. And a lot of us are thinking, I actually need to get on and do something. So I think that's where the book will help as well.
What would you like readers and our listeners to take away from your book?
To let their daily power moves become their loudest prayer and affirmation, and let their actions speak to the universe rather than their words. So stop trying to think, feel, affirm, visualize, or dream your way to a rewarding life. Start doing things each day like you already have it, like you already have a great life. I would like people to take that away from this book.
Well, Theresa, where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community?
Well, thank you very much. I'm very prolific writer. I'm very easy to find online. Just type in Theresa Cheung. My Instagram handle is at the Theresa Cheung. You can catch me if you're UK based on ITV This Morning. I have a website, www.theresachung.com. And of course, Walk Your Talk is available where books are available.
Well, Theresa, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Theresa. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Walk Your Talk, your 4-week program to take action now and change your life. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.